Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It is December the 2nd, and we're continuing our readings in Ezekiel, and we're in chapter 46. Now, in chapter 46, the Lord explains what will happen regarding the opening and the shutting of the gate of the inner court. It will be opened only on the Sabbath and on the days of new moon. Now, this is very interesting because what it teaches us is that in the Messianic kingdom, this Sabbath will be reinstituted in the new covenant. It's very interesting also that this part of Ezekiel, the second part of the book, I'm going to name it. I'm going to give it a new name. It's going to be called the second Leviticus. Okay, now I'm going to give it a name that's slightly different to that. You see, the book of Leviticus was the handbook of the Levites. Okay, the handbook of the Levites. However, in the day of the Lord, it won't be the Levitical priesthood that will be the priesthood of Israel. In the Messianic kingdom, it will be the sons of Zadok. So therefore, we could call this the book of Zadok. This is the book that will probably be referred to more than any other book in the Bible. Just as the Levites referred to the book of Leviticus, so the sons of Zadok will refer to this book. And I'm going to call it the book of Zadok, because it describes the temple, the construction of the temple, the ministry of the temple, the sacrifices of the temple, and now even the calendar of the temple. Fascinating, isn't it? Now, the prince who is David, will enter the temple by this route. The Lord lists the sacrifices that will be offered unto the Lord, and then the people come before the Lord. Those who live in the north will enter by the south gate and vice versa. They will not leave the same way that they came in. And the Lord gives more instructions regarding sacrifices and where they are to be performed. And then the Lord showed Ezekiel the river that came out of the threshold of the temple. The river soon became a brook, and then a river by measure. First it was ankle deep, then it was knees deep, and then it was waist deep, and then it was waters to swim in. On the east side of the banks of the river, on both sides of the banks of the river, there will be trees, and the river, after running south, will then be parted half to go to the east into the Dead Sea, thus making it able to have fish again, and the other half of the river will flow west to the Mediterranean Sea, which Ezekiel calls the Great Sea. The fruit of the trees on each side of the river will never fail. And next the Lord sets the boundary of the land that Israel will possess. The Lord specifies exactly the land that each tribe will possess. But I want you to notice something, that it lists all the tribes of Israel. For example, it includes Manasseh. Now we know that the tribe of Manasseh is not in Israel today. They are in the farthest reaches of India, next to Nepal. So they will return to the land. And when they return to the land, they will have an inheritance in the land that will last forever. And the Lord specifies exactly the land that each tribe will possess, and there will be 12 gates for each of the tribes of Israel, and the city of Zion will have a new name. The Lord is there. Wow. Now let's just go back through this passage a little bit. I'd like to just highlight some things that have caught my eye today. First of all, right from the very beginning, it talks about the entrance into the city. And you'll notice in verse 4 it talks about the burnt offering that the prince will offer unto the Lord in the Sabbath day will be 6 lambs without blemish and a ram without blemish. So not only does the Lord specify when the offerings will be made, but he specifies what the offerings will be. Wow, interesting. You know, this is then going to be another world. This is what in the Bible is referred to as the kingdom, or the kingdom of heaven. The word "of" there means from. So this is the kingdom from heaven. Have a look at verse 17, something interesting there. If he give a gift to his inheritance to one of his servants, then it shall be his to the year of liberty. After it shall return to the prince, but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. Now we know that in old Israel there existed a slavery. It wasn't a cruel slavery, it was a benevolent slavery. It was mainly to do with economics. If a person was bankrupt, then he could sell himself to his creditor for a period of no more than 7 years, and during that time he would pay off all his debt. And it does appear as if in the Messianic kingdom there will also be slavery again. But again, it won't be a cruel slavery, it'll just be about liberty. It's about a slavery in terms of paying debt. So that's very interesting. And as we go on down the passage, there's a few other little things that I noticed today which I think are very interesting. Now, he says in verse 1 of the next chapter, he brought me to the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the door eastward on the forefront of the house, which stood toward the east. Now I want you to notice something here. The temple, the millennial temple, is going to be orientated in such a way that the entrance of the temple will be from the east. And that means that when the children of Israel worship the Lord, they will be facing the west. It's very interesting that all of the Gentile nations faced the east. Okay, they faced the rising sun. But Israel, whenever they worshipped the Lord, whether it was in the temple or the tabernacle, they always faced the west, the setting sun, you see. And so that's a very interesting thing, and the millennial temple will also follow the same pattern. Also notice where it talks about the river, how it gets progressively deeper. First of all, it's waters to the ankles, and then waters to the knees, and then waters to the loins, and then finally waters to swim in. Now, there's one little thing I want to bring to your attention at the very end, which I think is beautiful. In verse 35, the very last passage of the whole of the book, and it's my password. It says, the name of the city from that day shall be, the Lord is here. What a note upon which to finish. This is my password for today, and I look forward to speaking to you again, God willing, tomorrow. Bye for now.